And now I'd like to introduce Frank Herbert.
Hi, gang. I thought I would talk about the mythology of futurism because this is one of the things I've addressed for a great many years. So I started looking at prediction, and I've been following it very carefully ever since. The whole idea of the future struck me as rather interesting because if it's the future, it's already there, and we're just approaching it. Nothing's going to change. It'll just unfold suddenly, and there it'll be. So the future is one of these great mythological statements that's buried in the language. What I'm addressing is this whole idea of absolutes and your helplessness in the face of such overwhelming movements. But I think each of us has a future. Individuals can have a tremendous influence on the futures of all of us. I don't have to list the people from Michelangelo on, Einstein. These people said, hey, this is fascinating, and I'm going to study it and see what I can discover. And this is the door I would like to open to you especially. It's one of the major reasons I came here today. The impact of human effort on the world around us is the most fascinating thing about our world to me. I wrote the DUNE series because I had this idea that charismatic leaders ought to come with a warning label on the forehead, may be dangerous to your health. Well, anyway, I wanted to do this thing about messiahs and charismatic leaders. I mean, why do 900 people go to Guyana and drink poison Kool-Aid? Why do the citizens of an entire nation, most of the citizens anyway, say Sieg Heil and murder some 3 million Jews and gypsies? Why do they not question their leaders? The research is, that's the fun part. Anthropology, comparative religions, geology. I spent 6 years preparing, and in the middle of all of that, I went down to a place on the coast of Oregon called Florence, Oregon, because I was supporting a very expensive writing habit by being a journalist. I was going to do an article about the U.S. Department of Agriculture's project at Florence, Oregon to control sand dunes. Now, sand dunes are like slow-motion waves. They'll move across roads, across highways, they'll inundate whole plantations of forest, but they do it slowly. The desert, of course, is the wilderness of the Bible. And the desert, the wilderness, is where a great many religions have originated. Mythology is a great beckoner. It says, come on, come on. It's great in here. Come on. Examine your mythologies. Examine your absolutist criteria. Question things. I have the most fun when I'm writing, questioning things that people do not question. The assumptions that everybody knows are true. I'm going to declare a heresy for you.
Can I ask you why you consider DUNE a disappointment?
DUNE, I didn't have Final Cut on. It's the only film I've made that I didn't have. I started selling out even in the script phase, so it was a slow dying the death and a terrible, terrible experience. No, it doesn't exist. There is no other version. There's more stuff, but even that is putrefied.
It was a difficult role to cast because he had to be young, he had to be princely.
I actually have a history before the film. I was a big fan of the books by Frank Herbert when I was, I guess I discovered them around 15. when I was 15 years old, and took to them immediately. I had never been a science fiction fan, really, but something about it, maybe it was because the age of the character in the book was similar to my age, 15 or so, that I really, really responded to it.
MacLachlan is not a great thespian. He is not Gielgud. He is not Sir Ralph Richardson. He's a perfectly competent actor. But Franziska Annis and Max von Sydow and everybody else in the cast, the characters are so individual. Even Sting. Sting really, I will kill you. All of them were just the most wonderful kind of repertory company.
This is legendary, dude. Come on, man. Yeah,
I still have these.
You do.
And occasionally Judy asks me to wear them for, she wants to spice it up a little
Yeah,
bit.
she does.
DUNE was an accident. It should not have happened to me. No, I'm serious. The fact is, David Lynch thought he had cast someone else. No, that's quite true.
This is a Hakonan animal. Let me.
Basically, though, it became a David Lynch movie. It's kind of dark and mysterious and kind of weird. Dad saw 5 hours of the movie, though, in Mexico City where it was filmed, and he liked it. But I kind of doubt if they showed him the ending, because I know later when he saw the ending, he didn't like that at all.
Is science fiction really fiction, or is it just the future waiting to happen? Life and death is determined by a spice, which is carefully doled out by a leader who is a humanoid in the process of becoming a worm. What is the statement that you're attempting to make here?
Don't trust leaders to always be right. I worked to create a leader in this book who would be really an attractive, charismatic person for all the good reasons, not for any bad reasons. Then power comes to him. He makes decisions. Some of his decisions made for millions of people, millions upon millions of people, don't work out too well. I think that our society was formed on a distrust for government, and we seem to have lost that distrust of government. I kid around and I say that my favorite president in recent years has been Richard Nixon, because he taught us to distrust government.
When people say science fiction, they automatically go,
I think it makes people uncomfortable, the idea that a human being can become something other than a human being, especially something mindless out of the depths. I'm very heavily imbued with Jungian psychology, so I think that we do have a sense of the mindless animal in the depths.
The legendary psychologist Carl Jung said of dreams that they were messages sent up from the unconscious, a clear inspiration for Dune's opening words. Denis Villeneuve has a history with Jung. Blade Runner 2049 is structured around the archetypes of the unconscious described by Carl Jung. The anima, the shadow, the demiurge, the father and the mother, the mental and the trickster. All of Jung's major archetypes are also woven into Dune, because Carl Jung's psychological insights chart exactly the journey of becoming that Paul Atreides is undergoing.
The movie, Hans Zimmer told me once, when at the beginning he asked me a question. He said, "Is it really a good idea to tackle to try to bring to the screen one of your oldest dream, one of the ultimate fantasy? You know, is it a good idea?
Why wouldn't it be a good idea?"
Every moment on set with Denny is amazing. I'm blown. My mind's blown. The visuals, the lighting, Greg's unbelievable. It's just an honor. Can't believe I'm on this movie. Oh, I'd love just to bring him coffee. You know what I'm saying?
was kind of into sci-fi. I was reading everything that I could found at the time, and I by total coincidence, I found this in a bookstore. The Dune had a striking cover and the title, and there's something about it. Anyway, short story is that I found it by coincidence, and I felt in love and spontaneously with it. I mean, there's something about the journey of the main character, Paul Atreides, then finally being able to find freedom through the contact with another culture. That at the time, this idea that the way he was curious and excited about meeting people from another planet, and this intuition that he could eventually fulfill a part of his identity. I don't know how to say that in English, but finally gets closer to the true self.
Timothy, I'm waiting for him to get like a little bit older, buttering him up.
Text him right now.
And then like a pig for slaughter.
There isn't a shot where he doesn't look picture perfect.
Timothee Chalamet. I mean, listen, Timothee Chalamet is just like...
be the master of your fate, you can be the captain of your soul, but you have to realize that life is coming from you and not at you, and that takes time. Wow. Okay. To your right, please. To your right.
I don't believe you're the Lisan al-Gaib, but I want you to die with honor.
In order to get free, you have to deal with the inner voices that are the ghosts coming from the past. I'm talking about the genetic heritage or the education that you received, and the way that this trap your subconscious and put limits in your freedom in everyday life. The way you make decisions are affected by those inner voices. I'm not talking about schizophrenia. It's an image, but that's the inner forces that how can you get rid of those forces and become free? Is it a good idea?
Why wouldn't it be a good idea?
Because you can just be, it can just be disappointing. I mean,
I'm going to declare a heresy for you. All science, if you go back into its roots, saying, why do I believe this? Well, I believe this because of these tests and this proof. Well, why do I believe this? Why did I set up this test? Why did I believe that proof? All science goes back to something that we believe because we believe it. We believe it because we believe it. And we have no proof for it. It's like a religion. So when you dig into the roots of science, a gray area at the bottom. But it's like a balloon. The surface of the balloon is their face with what we do not know. Inside the balloon, as we blow into it, is what we have proved, okay? But as we increase what we think we know, we increase our exposure to what we do not know. This is one of the inevitable laws of our universe. But isn't it more interesting to live in a universe where there are unknowns to discover, new lands to explore, than to live in an absolute box where when you find the edge, that's it, baby. no place to go from there. I like the fact that we live in a universe where anything may happen, because the alternative to me is a constricting dead end. In my original conception of the first Dune book, those first 3 books, I had Paul blind in the second book because, to my way of thinking, that was the ultimate exploration of absolute prediction. He did not need to see. He knew what was going to happen. He knew who was all around him without eyes. Now you think about that a minute. Find something that you like to do. And even if you're supporting your habit, have a love affair with your world. And remember that you're not going to be able to predict every consequence of what you do.